We've all fallen off the horse before in our health journeys. I know that I have.
Let's talk about how you get back on the horse and gain momentum on your health journey.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Health Over Everything podcast, the number one podcast in health and fitness. I'm your host, SoCal Gulaw.
And I am Steven Z, and today we are going to be talking about getting back on that horse after you've fallen off. So, has that happened to you, Aaron? Have you ever been working towards your goal and something bumps you off? And if you have, what have you done to kind of get back on the path?
Oh man, it's like, have I fell off the horse before? Yeah. And how big has that horse been? Sometimes I fall off little horses, sometimes I fall off big horses. But yeah, yes, I've definitely fell off the horse many times. And if you've been following my journey recently, you know that I've been doing pretty well. And the new year just came and went, and we were just preaching and talking about all these things we could do to stay on the fitness grind. But, Christmas came, I kind of fell off the horse there. Then I got back on it a little bit, but now I'm back off of it again a little bit. And it's not that funny to me personally, but it's like, oh man, it's just so easy to like get comfortable. It's like, well, you
Yeah,
just
it
start
is
eating a
really.
little bit bad. And, I still been going to the gym, just maybe not pumping as hard. I still go to the gym like all the time, but I feel like my muscles have just been not growing as good because I've been kind of like taking it a little bit easier. But main thing I've been falling off on recently is my diet, and I've gained some weight back, about 10 pounds. I was down to 180. Now I'm back up to 190.
All right.
And it's easy to give yourself some excuses sometimes and say, like, oh, well, maybe it's because I'm going to the gym and I'm getting muscles and that's gaining the weight. But no, I've been eating bad and I need to get back on it. And, it's a struggle for a lot of people and including us as well.
Yeah, same
But,
here.
if you want to live that health over everything life, you got to get back on it. There's no excuses. People give themselves excuses all the time. I'll give myself excuses. But the thing is, I've fallen off the horse and the horse has been kicking me and stepping on me as well. And I need to, I need to roll over, roll off to the side, get back up on that horse and start getting fit. And that's kind of like why we're talking about it today, because we both kind of fell off a little
Yeah.
bit and you have fell off too a little bit, right?
Yeah, for me, I actually got through Christmas relatively smooth, but then New Year's rolled around and I'm like, it's the new year. You got to live a little, right? So I had a few days of just, I wasn't tracking anything I ate. We're eating out a lot. So I gained, yeah, it was about 8 pounds in those three days of just doing whatever the hell I wanted. So yeah, it's been enough of that, but it's kind of like you said, it's funny how easy it is once you slip up, how easy it is just to continue to slip up a little bit more. You're like, oh, well, I had a cookie for breakfast. What's lunch? And then, I did bad on breakfast and lunch. What's a little piece of cake here at dinner tonight? So yeah, it's very easy to kind of give yourself those excuses and, basically you're giving yourself like a logical excuse of why you can fall off the path or kind of break away from it at least for a little bit. Um so what do you do, Aaron, to get back on the horse? Are you kind of implementing any kind of steps or are you just kind of easing back into it?
Well, I was easing back into it a little bit, but man, it just seems like you can get back into old routines. Like if you're just starting a health journey or if you've been doing it for a while, you're gonna
Mhm.
notice kind of like the routines that you get into and kind of like the pitfalls that you have and the habits that you go back into. Some of them
Mhm.
can be long habits that that you had for a very long time. So, for instance, it's playoff season right now, the NFL playoffs. I'm wearing my Rams shirt here. Go Rams.
Nice.
But, like around football season, I would always, let's say, go to Buffalo Wild Wings and I would eat wings and a chocolate cake and some fries.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday I did that. The playoffs were happening and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings and overindulged in food while I'm watching the game. So then that's just kind of one thing that I'm doing to get back on the horses, kind of realizing why am I doing this? And it's because of these old habits that I have. And when you're
Mhm.
creating a new health journey, you're trying to create new habits, new neural pathways in your mind, new like things. But these um old habits are embedded deep into your subconscious and you might not know it. And they're just habits and they're like your comfort zone that you've been into a long time. Like, oh, it's playoff season. It's time for me to relax and watch some football and eat some wings and some fries and some chocolate cake or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So you got to kind of like remember what your purpose and your aim is. You got to still, like we said before, think about those things that why you started. Like, hey, you're going to die of heart disease or diabetes or something like that by eating like this, and that's the whole reason why I started. So then I start thinking about that again, and now I'm trying to figure out ways to keep that in my mind and that forefront because now that I feel a lot better than I did when I was overweight, um, I feel like, oh, I don't feel bad anymore. I could go and do these things again. But in reality, you're just setting yourself up. Once you start seeing that scale go back up and that belly start getting back out there, you're starting to setting yourself up to back to where you were. So you got to kind of remember those things like, hey, heart disease is around the corner, high blood pressure. Your dad died at 66. Do you want this to happen? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Hello,
trying to
wake
figure out
up.
ways to remind myself. Maybe even like I should put a picture of my dad on my phone. So every time I look at him, he's like, hey, what are you doing this for? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out ways to do it, but mainly, like we say with everything, it starts with the mind first. You got to be like, hey, you got to get this on point, and then you got to literally realize your old habits that are comfort zones and embedded into your subconscious and deeply into your mind and body. That's your old comfort ways, and you got to figure out a way to just keep going and
Yeah.
climb back on that horse.
It's funny. I was actually thinking too, something you kind of said. I was kind of thinking that it might be necessary from time to time when you're starting like a new goal or a new kind of hustle you're going after, that it might be necessary for you to kind of stumble and fall from time to time. Because it's almost like for me, especially now, it's like I felt like I was doing so good. And the fact that I fell off a little bit, it's kind of been eating me up to a certain extent. And I think it's almost like a reminder of like, kind of like what you said, like you have to remember why you started. And I think when you fall off, it gives you that opportunity to reflect, like, well, look how good you're doing. Where did we slip up? And what could we do better so this doesn't happen again? Or if it does happen, what can we do to get back on the path again? And it's in those moments that you do fall that you're able to kind of reflect and kind of analyze everything and maybe even regroup a little bit, like, all right, well, maybe this is something that I was doing that that doesn't really serve me. I don't want to do that. So you can even rewire or change up the game plan a little bit, kind of look at everything you've already fallen off and kind of rebuild it even better than you had it before. But it takes falling to be able to do that, because if everything's good, everything's working perfect, like you have no reason to want to change anything. So it could be an opportunity to build back better, not to be
Like Joe
political or
Biden, build
anything.
back better.
Like not to be political or anything. I'm like, what am I saying? That felt weird coming at me.
Have you been listening to Joe Biden lately?
Watching some debates.
So that's a very important thing. You do not want to be like Joe Biden. You don't want to say build back better and then don't actually build back better. You
Don't
don't want
actually do
that.
it.
You want to actually
uh,
make your health fitness journeys great again.
yes, exactly.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, and I guess the first big part, and after you've fallen off the horse, is realizing that you've fallen off. I don't know. It might be like a subconscious thing, but it could be more in your face. Like, I gained 10 pounds in a fucking week. This is an obvious thing that I need to work on.
yeah.
So, just one of the things I think I gave myself, and maybe it was just like an excuse, like, all right, I'm gonna give myself a week off for the new year and just kind of relax a little
Yeah.
bit. And then next after that, I'm gonna be going hard.
Yes. And that's what I was
um,
thinking too, like momentum. You take
yeah,
that week off and you're getting the momentum in the opposite direction. So it's like, okay, now I'm getting momentum going backwards. Like I was going forward, now I'm
yeah.
going backwards, and that momentum can stay. Like like you were saying, like in a different podcast,
Mhm.
momentum is hard to stop. Once that momentum starts going in one direction, it starts picking up speed. It takes, bigger brakes or something like that to slow that vehicle down, that momentum down. So now you
Mhm.
need even a bigger cause and a bigger will to like slow it down to make sure you can go back up and go forward again because
Yeah.
Get that momentum going into the right direction of going hard.
Yeah, I feel like too the momentum backward picks up faster than the momentum forward. So
Definitely.
to get your ass to bust your ass and put in all that effort to stop the bad momentum is that's what it is. It's requires a ton of effort and energy to do that. So if you could stop yourself from even rolling back to begin with, that would be, ideal. But, in the real world, something's gonna happen, you're gonna hit a bump and you're gonna fall off. So
Yeah, so that's like goes back to like just setting realistic goals too. Okay, if you fallen off the horse, you started eating bad and stopped going to the gym again, well, just start. You don't need to go back really hard to where you were when before you fell off and you're at the top notch of your game. Set realistic
mhm.
goals. Be like, okay, I fell off, realize that, and be like, hey, that's not realistic goals. Let's go back to the gym slowly and start building up that momentum again. Because if you go too hard, it might be like, oh man, this is too hard, and I want to quit again. So you might have
Mhm.
to just slowly ease into that or just set some realistic goals that you can do. Like, okay, let's go 2 times to the gym. Let's start eating. Let's stop eating bad again. Like I started eating, don't go to the restaurants anymore because once you start eating bad, it starts making you feel a little bit lazier, a little bit sluggish, and then you kind of like lay around, but it tastes good and you feel like, oh man, I ate bad for 2 days. I gained a little bit of weight. Let me just try it one more day. So let me do it
Yeah.
one more day because I'll just gain another 2 pounds and then I'll get back on it. Well, maybe a realistic goal will be like, okay, I did it 2 days. Let's not do it today. Like today is, I'm not going to do that. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings yesterday, and my realistic goal is, okay, I think I was going too hard. I was like, okay, let's work on the business. Let's work on the social media stuff. Let's do my normal job, and then let's also go to the gym and let's go to the grocery store and all that stuff. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I got to remember that, hey, health and fitness is over everything. This is what the whole podcast is our mantra.
Mhm.
Maybe I should take a step back from trying to make the money, trying to work so much, trying to work so hard, and maybe not even go to the gym today and just sit back, relax, take it easy. Maybe in 2 days or 3 days, don't do anything, just relax and just get that
Mhm.
nutrition on because the nutrition is the number one. Once you start feeding whatever you're feeding your body is what's going to feed the rest of your life. So maybe that's my realistic goal of the day and the week, maybe the next couple days. Maybe not go to the gym. Maybe I'm going to lose a little bit. Maybe just do push ups at the house or something. But maybe just sit there and relax so I could totally focus on the food because I think I was overloading myself with all these other aspects of my life that I was kind of like letting the food aspect take a back seat, and which
All right.
that's what I shouldn't do. And that's what's kind of like now it's like making me a little bit fatter, which is going to make me feel unhealthier, which could lead to even worse things in the bigger picture of the stuff I want to do. So yeah, that's on my realistic goal is just say, hey, just kind of step back, relax a little bit, don't do anything, watch some playoff football today. Instead of going and eating fast food or eating something bad or eating some chocolate, go to the grocery store that's right across the street, buy a fucking steak, cook that up, and eat a nice healthy meal, and then just sit around and not worry about everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a good plan. Yeah, my another reason why I fell off recently too, just to give some context
Yeah.
to, my side of the story,
Mhm.
uh, is that I started a new job essentially this week. So like my sleep schedule's a little bit off and my waking up schedule's a little bit off. So it's like right now I'm trying to juggle like when like I already feel like if I wait till after work to work out, like it's just not gonna happen. I'm getting home later. Shortly after that, I have to pick up my son from school. Um, and then after that night's over, I need to be in bed at a decent hour so I can wake up earlier just to work out in the damn morning. Which, I don't know if I've just been using it as an excuse or not wanting to do it, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to waking up either probably like at 3:30 or 4 just so I could work out, get it out of the way, and do it before work because I already know myself for whatever reason. If I wait to after work, like the excuses just tend to win, where it's like you don't have an hour to get your work in right now because you're gonna have to pick up your son in a little bit. So it's like those little excuses for me tend to win, but I know I could avoid them all if I just start the workout in the morning before I go to work. So that's my little hurdle that I'm kind of dealing with is getting to bed early and not hitting the snooze button so many damn times when the alarm goes off in the morning, because that's another probably area that a lot of people have trouble with is, I don't know, there's that guy Jaco. He's like 4:30, as soon as that alarm goes off, I'm up. So not everyone's like that. I know my bed always calls me like, "Oh, stay in 5 minutes longer." And in those moments, it sounds logical, like, "Oh, 5, 7, 3 more minutes of sleep is just what I need." And you'll just lay there and not get out of bed. So
Yeah.
that's my little hurdle that I'm working on. Is just alarm goes off, wake up, get dressed, work out, and that's
No
gonna be
more
my
excuses,
it's gonna
Steven.
be my it's gonna be my new thing.
No more excuses. This is what you need to seek support with your accountability partner, which we talked about before.
Exactly.
You can't do that anymore, Steven. You waking your ass up at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you're getting that shit done. And
Damn
I'm
right.
doing the same shit.
I might even start working out on Sundays. Do like a Sunday through Thursday, so then I could take Friday off. So I might even make that adjustment. I think that'll work out too.
Yeah, and then another thing too is like you just got to forgive yourself and stay positive. Like, okay, you fell off a
Yeah.
little bit, like you can't dwell on it. You can't be like, "Oh man, I'm so stupid. I'm idiot. I'm lazy. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
never gonna do this. Like, I just quit. I'm done over it." Forgive yourself. Like, hey, I did mess up for this little bit. I lost a little bit of weight. That was a week of the whole year. Let's get back on it. Let's stay
Yeah.
positive. We can do this. Positive in your mind. We can do this. We're going to do this because, like, I'm reading this book again, Think and Grow Rich, and it talks about positive reinforcements. Thoughts become things. What you say to yourself is what's going to kind of like come into fruition and actually
Mhm.
become what happens in your real life. So be positive. Start thinking, hey, we're going to do this. I fell off. That was just a mistake. That was just a little vacation, let's call it. And we're going to get back on this and we're going to do this. I'm going to start waking up early. I'm not going to go eat all this junk food. We're going to, I don't know if I said I'm not going to wake up early. I think I said that. We're going to wake up early. We're going to get that workout in because I know it sucks when like you're at work all day and you're like, man, I didn't wake up early. I should have
Mhm.
woke up a little bit earlier. I snoozed it a couple times and now I'm at work and I don't want to go work out after work. I
Yeah.
wish I would have got it done, but at the time you're like, man, I wish I would have stayed in bed a little bit longer. I want to stay in bed,
Those extra 5 minutes of sleep are really useful for my day.
Yeah. And I always hear too, like you could put like an alarm clock away from your bed where you actually have to get up and walk over there and go turn it off as well. So then then you're already up. Like, oh man. So I've never done that, but I hear like my old boss used to put 3 alarms in his room. Like when they had the old school alarm clocks, not your phone, he would
Mhm.
set them around the room and have them all at the same time. So it all go off at like 4:30 in the morning, and he would have to get up and turn them off, and then you're already up. You're not jumping back in bed. So that
Yeah,
could
at
be
that
it.
point, if you're already out of bed,
Yeah.
that's and I could see myself honestly just still getting back into bed and like, all right, I'm getting back into the comfy spot, going back to sleep.
You got to put one in the living room as well.
Yeah, put one all far so you have to walk all the way to the living room.
Put one right next to your creatine and your protein, and you're like, and a note that says, "Don't go back to sleep, asshole."
It's funny while you were saying all that, I was thinking too. I was like, it's almost like when your confidence is high, your motivation is strong. It's like you got to be hard on yourself to push yourself more. But then after you fall, it's like you got to cut yourself some slack a little bit. It's like you have to find this balance of like you can't beat yourself up all the time because then once you fall down, you could get into even like a deeper funk. So it's like you have to have this fine balance of
Yeah.
talking bad enough to yourself to motivate you to move and do some shit. But when you fall, you got to give yourself some grace. And because I do it all the time where I'll fuck up and then I'll beat up myself for so long that it's almost like I get into a funk that I'm so fucking like disappointed in myself and like I feel like I should have did better, and the fact that I didn't gets me in a funk. Like I feel like I'm better than this. I'm more capable than what I'm doing right now, and then it just makes that slump even longer. So if you could learn to cut yourself some slack, say it's all right. It's only a day. It's only a week. It's only X amount of pounds. Get back on the horse, and that's the only way to really move forward and get back on moving forward to your goal. Anyways, I feel like
Yes. And you just got to celebrate them successes and forgive yourself on the failures. But
yeah.
like just talking about this is getting me pumped up. Like I'm getting pumped up now. Like, hey, we're gonna do this. Like I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling like, hey, like we're health over everything. This is our mantra. It's our identity. We have to keep continue doing it because if we don't,
Yeah,
then it's
exactly.
then what are we? Then everyone's gonna make fun of us for being losers. You know, like you guys didn't do it. You guys are a bunch of fakes, and I don't want that. But I'm feeling pumped up, and it's a lot of motivation. And that's what the
Yeah.
thing is, though. Like motivation can get you started. So that but discipline is what you need in order to fulfill any goal in life. Consistency and discipline. But sometimes when you do fall off, you need some motivation to get you back on, and that could be a good tip to get back on that horse is listen to
Mhm.
some motivation. Listen to this podcast right now, getting you pumped up, listener. You're listening to this and you're getting pumped up. Start saying to yourself, I'm getting pumped up. I'm doing this. You got to say these things to yourself like, let's do this. Let's get going. And then
Yeah.
that could be a good motivation to get going because, sometimes that's all it takes. They always say motivation doesn't mean shit because doesn't come into consistency and discipline. But when you're falling off the horse, you're feeling a little bit down, you're feeling a little bit out, and you're feeling like you're not doing as good. Sometimes motivation can actually get you back into that discipline and consistency where you were at. And then that's what it takes. And you got to say to yourself, hey, you got to pump yourself up somehow or another.
Yeah. And I still listen to motivational videos because I always feel like there could be something that someone says in just a certain way that just hits you at the right spot at the right time. That kind of is that last piece of the puzzle or that click that kind of helps roll everything over for you. So coming across new information, I like listening to just different motivational speakers, videos I've never seen before to help with the motivation because it's one of those that's motivation's one of those things that isn't always with you. So if you can grab some of that energy from a video or a favorite speaker that you like use
A
it
podcast like this
to
one.
your advantage. Yeah, the podcast, hopefully we're motivating at least a little bit.
I think we are, brother. We are. And another thing is try to like explore some activities that are physical or that is health wise that you enjoy doing. Sometimes you might get off and you might just be sitting around, or you might have been doing some things that you don't like, right?
Mhm.
You're eating some foods that just eating salads every day. Like go grab yourself a steak. That's something that's still healthy, or some chicken if you're just trying to eat salads. Give you something that it's enjoyable. Like if you figure out like, okay, I'm just so tired of running on the treadmill. Maybe go out there and play soccer with your son or something like that. Something that's more enjoyable as a
Yeah.
physical activity as well that can get you back on the horse, and then that could get you started. And like, oh man, it could either be like that was fun, I was exercising, I felt good, or it could be like, oh, I'm getting winded here. I need to go start working out more. So that could
Yeah.
be a realization that you need to get back into it as well. So try to explore some different activities maybe and switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, I like that one too. I felt like ours was hiking for a while. It's just like we just started hiking, then all of a sudden kind of became our thing. So I guess for us, we tried something new, figured out that we liked it, so just kept on doing the damn thing.
Yeah, and I like I said, like my falling off the horse has just been like with the diet really, because I've still been going to the gym and I've been hiking every week. And but that's what I also think too. Like if you kind of like been doing this long enough, you kind of realize, in the beginning it's very hard to see what your weaknesses are and stuff. So it's so much easier to fall
Yeah.
off and you don't know why you're falling off. Like, hey, I'm falling off. Why did I stop energy drinks and I'm back on it? Well, it's because I
Mhm.
work too hard. I'm working too much. I'm putting too much effort into that. Maybe I need to step back from working so much on things and maybe even take a little bit of tell your boss like, hey, I'm not gonna work any overtime anymore, even though you need the money because it's gonna lead to your demise. So my
Yeah.
thing was I was still going to the gym. I've been hiking every weekend. I've been trying to set my goals like, okay, I have push-up goals, pull-up goals, sit-up goals, running goals, and hiking goals. So I have all these goals that I'm trying to hit, and it's the very first month of the year. So I'm trying to kind of go a little bit harder. But then
Mhm.
my work has picked up a little bit in construction, and I've been door dashing to try to keep 100 things. So there's a lot on my plate right now, and then I'm doing
Yeah.
a lot with the social media brand. So then something has to take a back seat, right? I've been trying to
Yeah.
get my sleep as well. That's always been important to me, and I still been doing pretty good on my sleep. But something has to take a back seat, and it's been the diet, which you could kind of feel the heartburn hitting up. You could you don't feel good, like your
Mhm.
body feels sluggish. And then I'm like, okay, well, the diet was supposed to be up at the top. It's not supposed to be at the bottom. It's not supposed to like so something else has to be down there. So maybe I have to work on the brand a little bit longer, less, or maybe work a little bit less hours at work, or maybe DoorDash less. But something has to be in the back and not the food. And I realize that because once the food and the nutrition goes, then the body goes, and
Yeah.
then you won't be able to work on that. So if you, especially if you get a heart attack or a stroke or something, which that's what I kind of worry about the most, and then there you go. Now you can't work at all. So what's most important? You got to prioritize that.
Yeah, I also feel like too, like since my diet hasn't been on as good as it has been lately, that I feel a little bit more like sluggish and like foggy. I don't feel as like on point
Mhm.
as I have been. So that's another thing to consider and kind of watch for is that once you start, eating more processed foods, you might start to kind of feel sluggish and maybe even like a little bit more on the lazy side. So to recognize that and snap yourself out of it before you go too far in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because you bring that up because I've been eating. I went to what's it called, crumble cookie, and had me a
Mhm.
cookie, and I just felt so much like I couldn't think clearly. Like I had brain fog. Like it's like I can't think. I'm like sitting there trying to do my work on the
Uh,
social media, trying to edit videos and edit some writings that I've been doing, and
mhm.
I'm like, what? I can't think straight. Like, but when I'm like really eating healthy and on point, I'm just so much more focused and so much more clear.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy what like sugar can do to the body and bad diet processed foods can do to the mind. And it really does mess with you. And then I kind of like, you got to remember, like, man, when I was healthy, because even a week or two of being unhealthy, you could forget what happened 2 weeks
Yeah.
before that of how it actually felt. But you remember, like, hey, I was a lot more clear, thinking a lot more clearly, and a bunch of things like that. So that is another noticeable effect of, and you got to remember that, and you don't want to get back into that lifestyle where it's kind of like deteriorating your body and mind and ruining your work goals.
Yeah, exactly. I was funny. I was something you said got me thinking like I wonder if the food has anything to do with your motivation. It's like
What do you
could
mean?
eating bad just like make you more content or more okay with just being lazy like or is it just the fact that you've fallen off the horse and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna give myself a few days off. I've already fallen off, could fuck off for a little bit before, I lock everything back down and get back on course. But I wonder if it's like, the chemicals in the food that are like making it seem like it's okay for you to like be lazy.
Yeah, I think it has
I
something to
wonder
do
if
with
it's
it.
a nutrition or maybe, not fully, but an aspect of it could be from that.
I think so. Like I'm no scientist or anything like that, but
Yeah.
just through
I don't know if there's
anecdotal
any studies.
evidence, through anecdotally, I think it definitely does. And it's like also too, like sugar and stuff, like a cookie, you know, they have, they're like, what are they called? Empty carbs. Like you could eat it and it doesn't
Yeah.
make you full. But like one cookie at Crumble Cookie is like 800 calories. You eat one, you're not that full. So it's like, but it's giving your body a huge amount of sugar, which probably,
Mhm.
like you're saying, could mess with your hormones a little bit. Now your blood sugar levels are going up. Who knows what that does with your
Right?
adrenaline,
You're probably not
cortisol.
thinking clearly. Your brain's like, what is this sugar? I need more of this. Whatever this is, I need more of it. It probably goes into like a frenzy or some shit.
Yeah. And then like, but you could eat another cookie. Like you could eat a whole 800 calorie cookie filled
Yeah.
with sugar and then not be full. And you could literally eat another one. Now you have that's 1,600 calories. This is how much your holy daily amount of intake of calories just filled with sugar. And then you're still hungry. So
Yeah.
then you go home and you're like, dang, I'm still hungry. So you just need to eat some regular food. And most people go to microwavable food or processed foods or maybe some fast food, and there you go. Now you have all these other chemicals in your body, and that definitely I think has a effect on your hormones and your blood sugar levels and everything else inside your body, and that will mess with your mind. So definitely.
Yeah.
But then
That's
you
what I
think
was
about,
thinking.
you eat one steak, and that could be 1,200 calories, but that's more satiating and makes you feel have a more fulfilled feeling. And let's say you eat it with a potato or some broccoli. Now your body is getting the same amount of calories that you got from two cookies, but now you feel filled, and now you have all these nutrients that the broccoli and the steak and all this has, and now your mind feeds off of that, and it's a lot more clear and a lot more focused and stuff. So definitely,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So what else um about falling off the horse you got for us today, Steven?
Trying to think if there's anything else I'm really, because I was
What
pretty.
about family members? Are they helping you at all?
Yeah, I think my fiance, she might feel a little bit bad. I think she feels like she's the one who made me fall off the horse because she was like, "Let's go out and eat for dinner for New Year's." I'm like,
You went
"Yeah,
out yesterday too, right?
I could do that." Yeah, we went out for Val's brother's
How'd you
birthday.
eat?
The food itself was like a Benihana style of food, so I would say it was more on the healthy side. But yeah, I didn't track yesterday. I'm like, fuck it. Monday is the day we start.
So the family, the
But
wife.
I didn't eat bad like the rest of the day. I wasn't overindulging or anything. If anything, I feel like I was probably under on my calories.
So what did you have today? Like, have you ate anything for breakfast? So this is early
Not
in the
yet.
morning if you're listening to this. I had a
Eh,
peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a protein drink, and I was gonna have some steak later on
Yeah.
in the game.
So far today, just had some coffee, so I have plenty of room to spare.
So, but you feel like you've been filling off the horse with more of your working out like in the morning and stuff instead of the diet, or has it been both?
A little bit of both. It was more of the diet in the beginning, and then I had like that deload week where I was kind of just it didn't really feel like a lot of working out. I was pretty much doing like 50% of everything. Um, and then yeah, the diet kind of slipped up. Both of them kind of slipped up now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it. But the diet's the one that I've been more getting on point with. So Monday I got to get back into figuring out a new routine. I wanted to switch some things around. So I think that's been a small excuse I've been using, like, oh, I don't have the new workout. I can't do it. So all
So what
these little
about
excuses that you make and are logical that you accept for yourselves, those are the shits that fucking hold you back.
like
Um,
I felt like I had like a little injury on my hip and my back. I don't know if it was from the sit-ups or the push-ups or something. So
mhm.
that kind of, but I still was going to the gym, just not working as hard. That was another thing too that could derail people is injury. So you
Yeah.
make sure, like, okay, if my hip hurts, I could still maybe do some arm workouts or something, or I could do some yoga. Like, just maybe I'm not doing the heavy lifting anymore. I'll do some yoga. So you could kind of switch it up like that too, to just like to stay in the groove.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your body moving in some shape or form.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
then like
you're gonna
even
feel.
after work.
Go ahead.
What was that?
Go ahead. I mean, you're gonna feel pain,
Oh,
here and there. So you gotta work, kind of
yeah.
work through it.
Like even yesterday, like I didn't work out, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a little bit of the we got like an elliptical bicycle. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do some bicycling for a little bit. So just to get some calories in, get the legs moving. But yeah, Monday is or tomorrow, shit, maybe even today. I might start my new workout routine today. I just need to kind of make it first, make sure everything kind of flows. I'm hitting all the muscle groups that I want to hit. And then I even thought about breaking up my routine because I started adding in like cable work or like resistance bands for my left arm since I had the injury on that side. But adding that is taking a lot more time to work out now. So I'm like, I need to figure out a way just to divide everything up. So I'm not doing everything all in one day. And that, that could be another helpful tip for some of the listeners out there is to break your routine up a little bit instead of trying to cram everything in on one day because then you get overwhelmed. I'm looking at different ways like, all right, instead of doing all this amount of resistance bands I've been doing in 3 days a week, how can I break that up so I'm not doing as much and kind of lighten the load in the daily aspect of it?
Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking about what about accountability? Like, like you were putting a lot of videos out there about you working out every day. And,
Mhm.
I'll post like things too of like my weight and stuff, but I haven't done that and you haven't really been putting no videos out. Do you think
Mhm.
that like just having that accountability, has anyone like maybe no one's asked you like, hey, where's your videos at? Except for me, maybe, but
Yeah.
that accountability could be another reason to get on the horse. Like sometimes when you fall off, you stop posting or you stop telling people about it and most people will just be like, oh, whatever, he's just not doing it anymore. But
Mhm.
the ones that are like holding you accountable, like, hey, where the fuck you at, man? Where you been? You're not
Yeah.
posting this stuff. Are you falling off? Like, what happened to you?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that could be a thing too. Like you could just notice some other people that are falling off because okay, they were at the gym, they were posting, like we know our friend Dom that's been on the show. He
Mhm.
posts every day that he's at the gym. If he stopped posting for a week, I'd be like, did he not go to the gym? So then maybe you should
Yeah.
hit him up and be like, hey, I'm gonna be your accountability partner. Where have you been? Have you been
Mhm.
at the gym? Like, are you injured or something, or is something going on with the family? And they might have an excuse, and then you could tell them, well, someone died or something, or you have an injury. That's the one thing, but any other excuse, you'd be like, hey, that's a fucking excuse, bro. Like, you need to get back on
You are
this.
being a little bitch right now.
You need to
Stop
get
it.
back on.
Stop it.
I don't want to see you fall. I see everyone else being average. You can't do that. You're not that person. Let's get
Yep.
this.
The accountability partner can come in handy.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even, there's people that post like their New Year's resolution. This New Year's resolution, by posting it on your social media, could be almost like an accountability partner, just because you're like, well, I let the world know. Now I have to show up because I said I was going to do it. Or you could just not show up for yourself and people are going to judge you and be like, oh, look at that fucker guy. He
Yeah,
said he
or
was
they'll
going to
just be like, they
start, and
forgot.
after day one, he's done. Like,
Yeah. It's just like, let's just not talk about it ever again. So they just forget about it, and let's just start talking about other things. So they just be like, oh, that's the new thing he's talking about. Yeah. So
and that's funny too. Once you have like an accountability partner, because we talk a lot. So I was like, I feel like once I was kind of falling off a little bit, I'm like, Aaron fucking probably knows. He probably knows something's up.
I did text you that day, like, are you, how's everything been? And that's what I was kind of thinking. I was like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
going
yeah.
on with this guy? Like, I told the guy at work too that I talked to. I'm like, Steven hasn't been texting me much about this stuff. I'm like, I wonder, like, what's he doing? Like, what's happening here? And
You
then, but
break
like, I
your
haven't followed up.
patterns, you realize them.
Slap
God
you, Steven.
damn it.
You
I'm
can
gonna go to
slap
your
me too,
house, and
though, because
then
I've been
yeah,
falling off as well.
we'll slap each other.
Yeah. But anyhow, we were going to talk about some other thing, collagen, but I think we'll just put that for the next episode. Because,
All right.
but anyhow, yeah, like if you're out there, uh, and you're falling off the horse, just hopefully this helped out a little bit. But you can do it, obviously. Like you can get back on it, get that momentum back going. Like, but that just goes to shows, even like me or Steven, which we're not elite athletes or anything like that. We're just, we put health in the forefront of our lives. We fall off here and there. So, you could take some
We're
comfort in that.
human.
Like the New Year's just happened. A lot of people made goals, were super excited, that motivation. And then most people do fall off. But this is your mid-January motivation to say, hey, it's okay. You fell off, get back on it. You might have fallen off a little bit. You might have fallen off a lot of bit, but you got to get back on it, and you got to get that motivation and get that discipline and consistency and back in order, because health over everything, baby. Like that, we got to do this. And I'm pumped up. I don't know if you are, Steven. Like we got to get this
I
back
am.
going. We got to start showing each other our goals again. I'm at
Yeah.
190. Like I got to show you, we got to get back down. I started texting you again in the mornings, like, hey, I'm back at 185. I'm back at 183. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back down. Definitely. Like there's no doubt. You gotta say it to yourself and feel it. Like you might feel a little weird saying it. Like you might say, there's no doubt I'm going to do this. And inside you might feel a little weird, like, oh man, I don't believe myself. But you got to believe yourself. You got to be like, hey, just keep saying it. Write it down. Say it before in the morning. Write it down what your goals are. Say it in the morning and say it again at night before you go to bed. And think of it. Think of it in the middle of the day. And then you'll start believing yourself. And once you start believing yourself, nothing could stop you.
Yep. Yep. If you're listening to this podcast and you have fallen off the horse, this is your wake up call to get your ass back up.
Yeah.
Stop with the excuses. Stop with the nonsense. It's not too late, and you haven't fallen too far. It's never too late to get back on and get back on the path, because getting back on the path is the only way that you get a little bit closer to your goal. And if you give up and you stop right now, you never get there. So
yeah. And then if you were at a point where you're at your peak so far and you've fallen off, now it's time to get back on and then beat your last peak, get better than you were before. So just because you've fallen off and you took a step or two or three back doesn't mean you could take 4 or 5 or 6 ahead, so you're going to get even better. So get back on it, get that momentum like a rocket ship, and start heading into the right direction and surpass your old self, your old goals, and just continue to keep getting better. And then so even like, and sometimes even get way, way ahead of your last peak. So when you fall off next time, your next peak, it's like a little stock graph, like it goes up and goes down, but the next time it goes up higher and then goes down a little bit and goes up even higher and goes down a little bit. So you have those little fall offs, but overall in the long run, it continue the trend is getting better and better and better and better and better.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of like I said earlier too. I think falling off from time to time, I think that's just a normal part of it. Like,
Yeah.
I think anyone who's saying they've been 100% all the time, never stop, they're probably lying. Like, you either have moments where you're sick or there's a death in the family, some sort of medical emergency. Like, we all have these areas where slacking is just going to be easier. And I don't know. I don't know if I would believe someone that said they've always been 100% all the time, because like I said in the beginning, I think falling down off your path from time to time is a perfect time to reflect and analyze everything and make sure the goal that you're on is set up the way that you want. And if it's not, then you have your opportunity to make adjustments and then continue on with it.
Yes, and like we're talking about, the football season is people are getting kicked out of the playoffs. They're losing. And I'm sure some of these elite athletes have been training all year long to get to the Super Bowl, losing the game, not going to the Super Bowl. They're probably like, hey, time to fall off for a little bit. Let's go eat some bad food. And they probably even fall off a little bit,
Let's go
but they
drink our
get back
troubles
on
away.
because they know that the goal is the Super Bowl the next year. They still have that goal in their mind where they want to go, that they still
Yeah.
haven't reached that plateau. They still haven't reached that goal. And maybe even it's even multiple Super Bowls. So they might fall off a little bit, go on a vacation, relax, drink some beers or whatever, eat some fucking bad food. But then they get right back on it and they start surpassing the last one because they know that they weren't good enough this year, that they got to be better next year. So that's what you got to keep that mindset in as well.
Yep, that's a good perspective. Got to think about the long haul.
Yes, sir. So that kind of concludes this part of the podcast. So yeah, I hope you guys get back on that horse. But
Yep, get back up there.
so to conclude the podcast, we just wanted to say again, obviously this is Health Over Everything number 21. We're looking for some guests. If you're into health or fitness and you have like a brand and you're out there, you could come on the show. Just DM us on social media. SoCal Gula 8, Steven Z, OO. Like we're posting this on Twitter, on X. We posted on YouTube. We posted on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So you could find those. If you're whatever you're listening at, it might be a better platform. You could go to any of those to listen, or you can. We'll have clips on Instagram and TikTok as well. So you can find us everywhere. Health Over Everything podcast. And yeah, if you want to support the show and get like nice gear, go to www.socalgula.com where you can buy yourself a shirt, a
Get some
beanie, a
merch.
hat, buy some merch. And yeah, but the main thing is can you please like and subscribe? If you could, go do it on all of them. Go do it on YouTube and
Yeah. We're trying to get to
Spotify.
1,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, we're
1,000
at 50
subscribers.
now. We're at episode 21 and we have 50 followers combined on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So when we get to episode 22, we want to see that we have more than 50 subscribers. So get one of your friends to subscribe. Subscribe. Get your mom or your sister, your brother. Get somebody to listen to it that needs
Get your
to get
grandma,
back on
your
the
grandpa.
horse. Yeah, someone that needs to get back on the horse, that needs to learn some fitness, motivation, and discipline, and education, and knowledge, and just any of that stuff. Living that whole life. Get them to subscribe. We're at 50 now. We should at least be at 51, right? If one of you have to subscribe.
There you go. Yep,
Yeah.
and thanks to our current subscribers. We appreciate you guys 100%. Thanks for having us in your life and all that good stuff. And if you like what we're about, go ahead and share it. Give it to someone that you
Yes.
like
Appreciate
and that needs it.
our loyal followers that share us out and give us love. Those are the ones that
We see you guys.
we
We see
care
you.
for you. We care for you. We're here for you, and we'll give you a fist bump. Give it a fist bump out there.
My fist is
Much love, guys.
wherever it is.
We got to get the camera.
Can figure out how to do
Fist
it.
bump each other, Steven. There you go. Fist bump the other side. He's trying to
My
figure
arm
out the camera.
disappears.
You're on the wrong side. But anyhow, there it goes. Fist bump. Yeah, so anyhow. All right, guys. That's it for episode 21. I'm SoCal Gula, and peace out.
And I'm Steven Z. Peace out.